Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you on a Friday afternoon, and a very special episode where we have two people I have not had on the show before in Jacob the Clipper and Lo. Two people who are extremely opinionated, have a lot of great stuff on Twitter, depending on what side of the line you follow on with LeBron. It depends on what you like about what they say. But I thought it'd be a great opportunity to sit down in the end of the off season here and figure out a little bit more about LeBron, why he's so polarizing, what his legacy might be, where we're going in the future of the NBA in general. So, Jacob, Lo, thanks for joining the show today.
Thanks for having us, Coach.
Thank you for having us on, man.
You got it. Well, let's just jump right into it. And don't forget, if you have any questions you want to ask, feel free to throw them up in the comments on the YouTube side. And then, obviously, if you do a super chat, that will get on the screen. We'll give you some love. We'll answer the question. But we're already seeing, I think, Jacob, let's start with you. It's clear when you look at your Twitter feed that LeBron isn't ranked as high as other people might think that he should be. So I thought I'd give you an opportunity to kind of just lay it out for us a little bit. Like, what is your motivation, or what are you seeing about LeBron's game that makes you want to, create the content that you're creating about him?
So I have the specific view of LeBron that a lot of it is fabricated, his greatness. I think he's great. Of course, he's great. There's a reason we're having these discussions of LeBron versus Michael, and he's up there for sure. But I think a lot of it is fabricated, and a lot of it is not accurate. So I use my page mostly to heighten the issues I have with LeBron and to bring a light to it. And a lot of people hate me for it, but hey, I think it's the truth. I think this is what it is. Some of the things I can get into later on in the show if you want me to, but some of the things that really bother me is his tendency to stat pad, which is when the game is out of hand or the game is not competitive anymore. He's busy racking up stats, or he'll leave his man on defense. He doesn't play winning basketball, especially now and later on in his career, where he's leave his man, try to cherry pick rebounds, and he's just not playing winning basketball. And then there's other things like his flopping bothers me a lot. You're a 6'9", 260-pound man, and you're flopping around on the ground. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think it's affected the youth game. I think it's affected the future of the game. And it bothers me. But, of course, LeBron is great. In my rankings, I think he's got to be top 5, which surprises a lot of people. They think, I think LeBron is not even in the top 10. But, no, you can't deny his greatness. He's a superhuman. He's just not – his game isn't the type of game, especially scoring, that I enjoy. I'm a Mike guy, Kobe guy. I enjoy watching the footwork. I enjoy watching the insane skill. And I realize LeBron's size doesn't allow him to do all that. So I can't knock him for that. But there are things that bother me even outside of the court, just his mentality. But I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay, Lo, let's get a handle on where you lie on the debate, or where you are on LeBron's game in general. How do you feel?
I guess also it depends on what side of the aisle you fall on with me. But I'm definitely, I guess, in this conversation more pro Bron. I personally think he's the second greatest player of all time. I think it's kind of hard to detract a lot of things that he's done. I've been critical of him though over the course of his career, so it's not as if I'm all yes LeBron. I think that there's obviously negatives that come along with him, but I mean, I think that's literally every player in NBA history. But I don't think that he's done such damage to the game in which it warrants a degree of critique that I think we see from Jacob on the timeline as much as we do. I think he's clearly more positive than negative, and I think it's kind of odd that we still kind of question his legacy throughout the course of his career.
Okay, I mean that's what we do, right? That's what sports debate is. We're talking Twitter, NBA Twitter is basically that, right? Is questioning everyone's legacy. I do feel like, Jacob, the pushback for you would probably end up being that you're just trolling. You don't actually believe anything you're saying. You're just trying to, monetize Twitter as much as you can. And I don't know about you. I'm just kind of curious. I get millions of interactions during the games when I'm posting. I get $50 at the end of the month. I don't know if it's really worth getting what you're getting. So unless you figure it out, make more, I don't know. But nonetheless, what's your reaction to when people start yelling at you for that stuff?
I'll tell you this much, Coach. I'm not tweeting to get paid. I promise you. My day job brings me way more money than Twitter does. So I do get paid more than $50 a month, but it's not a lot. So a lot of people think I'm just tweeting to piss people off and get paid, but actually I enjoy the banter of basketball. Like if all my close buddies, like I used to debate them, Kobe this, Kobe that, because I'm a Clippers fan, right? So all my buddies love Kobe. I'm in LA, and I'll debate him against Kobe because I always would fight them and say he's inefficient. Even though I love Kobe, like now I respect him a lot more because of his mentality and what the league has become. But yeah, my main motivation, coach, is I love discussing basketball. So, but a lot of my takes, I genuinely believe. Of course, there are sometimes I'm trolling, like when I say I'm a better, my like skills are better than LeBron. Like obviously, like I don't genuinely believe that. Like LeBron's in the NBA. I'm a guy that plays in a rec league, but my takes and low, you're probably seeing just my tweets that blow up. But I actually do say a lot of positive about LeBron too. And it just doesn't blow up. I don't know why. Just my negative stuff blows up. I mean, I was at the Clippers-Laker game last year, and I was impressed. I was like, man, LeBron is cooking us. He's killing us with the fadeaway, and I'm like, like LeBron is like reading our defense, and I was impressed. And I tweeted a few things, and people were like, look, even Jacob respects LeBron. Look, he's shocked, and I was like, no, man, I've always respected LeBron. I was actually a LeBron fan his first stint with the Cavs. Surprisingly, I was actually cheering for LeBron, and what changed was after the decision. I started losing respect for LeBron after the decision.
Well, one of the newer things, certainly this notion of him stat padding at the end of games, I had never really picked up on that beforehand, and I don't know how accurate that ends up being. But the other thing about LeBron not having a bag is another interesting thing that perhaps has been discussed across various DMs of other people out there, I'm sure. What do you think about that? Do you really believe that LeBron does not have a bag despite being the leading scorer of all time?
Well, it depends on your definition of a bag. For my definition of a bag is like elite footwork, handles, different like levels of moves that you have to create space and to score a basket. So look, of course, LeBron has a bag. I feel like any NBA player at this level has a bag, but I think it lacks because again, I don't like the way LeBron plays basketball. I don't enjoy watching LeBron that much. I'd rather sit there and watch 1991 Michael all day, every day than watch a LeBron game. That's just my preference, and I think that's okay. Like, I love watching elite level footwork, and also I played point guard my entire life. So for me, it's like I like watching guards do guard things. I feel like LeBron is a 6'9", 260-pound monster that can handle the ball, but it's like awkward, bulky. He looks like a football player, like especially when he put on mass. Like younger LeBron, I actually enjoyed. Like the Cavs LeBron, he had more fluidity to his game. He was attacking the basket. It looked more beautiful. Like I like the aesthetics of the game. Like even KD, I prefer watching KD over LeBron. Like KD's scoring ability, it's just you're like, dude, how did he do that? Like, cause I've played the game since I was 7. Like when I see things that I know how difficult it is, I'm like, wow. Like LeBron, of course, does difficult things, but a lot of the times he's just using his size. He's bullying guys. I feel like he settles too much on threes, especially now later on in his career. I get it. He's trying to stay long and healthy and just chucks up threes sometimes. And it's like, dude, especially late game, like use your size, like post up. Like it pisses me off when like a smaller guard switches onto him and the guy just does like a hezzy 3, like a stupid, like look away 3. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Take him into the post. And it's just those things that bother me, coach. And I'm sure you can relate at coaching for so long that you have.
Fair enough. Lo, what's your reaction to that? What do you think about LeBron's bag?
I don't know. I think that the bag conversation is a bit. I don't know. I feel like as if like we're talking basketball, and I guess he said it now, so he does believe that LeBron does have a bag. So I think that it's a bit reactionary to say that someone like that doesn't have a bag. I get the idea of someone being able to like have their physicality and use in their advantage, but it kind of also sounds a bit contradictory. On one end, you're saying that if LeBron shoots a bunch of threes, you get frustrated. You want him to use his size and his athleticism and favor what he has, his God-given ability. But then when he does those things, then it's like, well, he doesn't have a bag because then he's just brute strength to the basket, and that's what he does. And so I kind of feel like throughout most NBA history, someone who's 6'9", 200 and whatever LeBron is, no one is expecting them to have a quote-unquote bag. I think KD is an anomaly, but for the most part, most players who have a bag are guards. The fact that LeBron is 6'9" and at that height and weight like by default, I think he would have a bad comparison to everybody else who's his same height and size.
I think it's an interesting point because if we're talking about scoring, I don't know if it matters necessarily if you're going to come down, go tween, cross, pivot, whatever, versus just in and out and then go and score. Like I don't know. Now, obviously, the bag is an argument where it's more artful or more interesting, perhaps, and certainly when you are a smaller person. I think the underdog, you might cheer for the underdog. And so you see LeBron as the person, the opposite of that, right? He's just, and Giannis is now the same kind of way, right? Giannis just will bulldoze through and you simply can't stop him because of his size. And then you have to wonder, well, okay, when he gets older, less explosive, yada, yada, he won't be nearly as effective. And well, guess what? LeBron, has been. And I think the issue I would probably have most with that criticism would be the post-ups. He never really developed a post-up game, which he should have. It should have been a really nice natural progression to go down there, do some of the stuff that we'd seen with that bag, I suppose. Because, by the way, Akeem had a bag, wouldn't you say, Lo, in the post?
I would definitely say he had a bag, but I also think that people are I think these are just different eras of basketball. Like I think now a lot of offense is structured more perimeter oriented. But as y'all say that, like LeBron last year in the post was amazing. Like he was just sincerely amazing. I think 45% on his mid-range jump shots in the post. It was by far his best post-up season, at least as a Laker. So I think that it ebbs and flows. Like when he was in Miami, I think he was a fine post player.
Yeah.
Does he going to get to the degree of having a footwork as a Kobe or even a Hakeem? Sure. I think that could have aided him. But also, I just think that he also transitioned in an era of basketball that's probably a little bit more analytical driven. So the post-up shot in a general sense wasn't as much as our priority, and his offensive responsibility tends to be with him having the ball in his hands, structuring the offense. So he's not always finding himself in the post anyway.
I'm shocked to see Synergy has him rated at 12.9% in the regular season for percentage of time in the post. I would have thought it would be lower than that.
Yeah.
I'm curious. It's 12.9 in the regular season, and in the playoffs, it went to 4.3%. That might
when the defense gets tough, LeBron shies away. That's my issue with LeBron, man. So look,
is that this postseason?
In this postseason, they have him 5 post-ups in the whole postseason that he played.
What is that, one round?
Yeah, they only played the one round, so it's not like a ton of games. But the percentage-wise, he did not get a lot of possessions posting up.
I like what you said, Coach. You said the bag isn't that important. It's important to if you can score. And I think a lot of people knock 90s basketball and early 2000s basketball because they look at the clips and like, oh, these guys aren't doing the tween hezzy shots. Oh, Kyrie's a better handler. Kyrie's a better like. I agree with you guys. Like the bag isn't that important. I feel like it's overrated and it actually causes the game to look awkward and bad. I recently posted a video. I don't know did you guys see the video of Gilbert Arenas' son playing an All-American game? He did like 15 moves, 4 carries, a double dribble, and this is what they call the evolved game of basketball today. And I was like, this is disgusting.
I was confused. We can talk about that. I think I can quickly find it because I was confused what was so wrong with that move. I mean, am I now just so inundated in the modern game that nothing stood out to me?
You might have to see the guy's his hands
happened because I don't think he did any of them. But
you don't think he carried the ball, Coach?
What's that?
You don't think he carried the ball?
Nothing stood out in my mind because you have to remember what a carry would have to be the hand goes underneath the ball or the ball pauses. I don't know.
It did that like 3 times.
All right, let me find it real quick because now I'm curious how easy it would be to find real quick. It shouldn't be.
At one point, he
I remember it may have been like one time where it might have been one, but the other 2 I don't think would constitute as a carry.
All right, let's see here if I can find it.
Maybe I'm looking at the rules of high school instead of rules of the NBA. I realize in the NBA carry isn't called anymore.
Okay, here it is. All right, so let me do this. All right, let's do this. We can share this for sure. So let's see here. This is the clip. It's good. I mean, how often do you get a chance to in a person defend a clip of your? Okay, so let's get back to the beginning. I don't know. Is this playing smoothly for anybody?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's smooth.
So all right. So there's
I can see that right there.
That right there. You saw that when he was on the wing, right there. You can't. Is it when you're doing a carry? You can't just. It's not always. It's underneath the ball. Even if it's on the side and he's moving it midair, that's a carry.
Well, no,
You can't move the ball like that midair.
That's not a bad argument here where the ball pauses.
Yeah, that right there. Yeah, I can see how you say
Right.
that.
And you could argue that the hand was under the ball here too. I mean, we get a little bit of degrees here. So okay, there's one. But again, even in high school now, right? I'm going to go, at a high school game next week. Everybody does that now. One question ends up being, is that going to be okay? Are we okay with this notion that like the refs in the NBA or high school are letting step backs go a little bit more and all these different things? And it's interesting because there's nothing worse than like when the referees are too much of a stickler for the rules and they call like a carry it really even wasn't, So there must be, but okay.
You know what my issue is, Coach? So kids look at this film and they're like, wow, the modern game is so much better than the 90s. When I post 90s clips, they don't realize a ref would call 4 carries in this possession back in the 90s because the rules changed. And then they make fun of Bob Cousy and they're like, Bob Cousy was trash. He couldn't handle the basketball. And they don't realize the rules. He literally had to only dribble from the top of the ball. How is Bob Cousy going to do even a modern day crossover? Like, that's what bothers me because people don't understand. The rules are so much more lenient now. And like guys are doing stuff like this.
This is an important point. What makes you think the rule said the hand had to be on top of the ball?
That's just what it was. So I can send you the rule book. That's what it was. Those guys, that's the only way they can dribble. If you watch the clips of them trying anything else, they get called a travel or carry.
Okay. This is a great point. So let me make this clear. You would see the fact when the hand was not on top of the ball where they would call carries in the 50s and the 60s and 70s. But guess what, Jacob? It doesn't exist in any rule book because I bought rule books from every decade from the 1920s until now to find out where is this rule. And it turns out that they got together and decided that they were going to call the game a way that did not reflect the rule book. It's crazy to me, but it's true. And
I didn't know
that single-handedly delayed the development of dribbling for decade upon decade until finally Iverson came. And when he started doing what he was doing, they're like, well, wait a minute, that's not legal. And then someone's like, well, show us in the rule book where he can't have his hand on the side of the ball. And it turned out it was legal. So
it's the interpretation of the refs.
I also it's sort of like the racism that was involved in the 60s and 70s as well, where there was a team that had really fancy dribbling that was going on around the country doing these displays. And that team was the Harlem Globetrotters. And it's not a stretch to assume that the referees that had designed the game to be called the way you're describing had said, well, we're not going to let that in our game, right? They're looking at what the Harlem Globetrotters are doing. So we have to decide to call the game a way that does not reflect the rule book. I actually might do a documentary on this because it's fascinating to me how that ended up happening. But just,
and we can take it a step further. Like, even though I understand what Jacob is saying, like the premise of what he's saying, that effectively, yes, the game is getting called differently now than it was then. And so inevitably, like there's players back then that aren't going to do certain moves now that they did back then just because of the way the game was called. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that should be taught and understood as well. But I also think that it should be taught and understood that there were rules back then that also favored players and their ability to score and play defense that don't exist now, that for whatever reason is also just being ignored. Like illegal defense significantly benefited players. Wilt Chamberlain and offensive interference in the way in which they viewed it was significantly different back then than right now. Even the way that like players play defense. Like I find it very odd that so many people like criticize players in today's game about playing defense, but then also acknowledge that they don't have the ability to play defense the same way before. So by default, you would have to acknowledge that if the rules favor more offensive-oriented players and players are not allowed to be physical, then by default, you would have to acknowledge that the defenders in today's game are just better. They would literally have to be better.
Wait, Lo, let me get this straight. You're saying it was easier to score back then than it is now. Is that what you're saying?
No, let me say what I said again. I'm saying that there are rules that benefited players back then that no longer exist now. And so,
your rule was
illegal defense is one of them. Being able to back down as long as you wanted to is another one. No defensive, endless limitation of how long a defender can just stay in the lane as long as they wanted to. Like there's certain rules that benefited players back then that no longer exist now. So the idea, like I agree with you, the way that rules get called in terms of dribbling have significantly changed. So that without a doubt is a factor to why players weren't dribbling the same way we see them like post Iverson. But also I think that the same ideology you're using should also be used in the other way as well, because there were without a doubt rules that existed. back then that don't exist now.
All right, let me just take care of this real quick because we have some super chats. I want to make sure we get to those before they get too old. So here's the first one we got a few minutes ago from Batter Up 9777. Thank you so much, Batter. Jacob is the NBA equivalent of a grifter. I don't know. I'm just going to, listen, they want to do super chat. We're going to throw it up there. So I don't know. I think, did you address that to some degree, right, Jacob? Can you do that?
I don't even know what a grifter is, man. That's some Gen Z talk. Can someone define that for me?
No, I think that you are just trying to make money off of not of a BS stuff that you don't even believe.
I just said I don't make that much money on Twitter. I don't really care about the money I'm bringing in. No, the reason I tweet what I tweet is I genuinely believe 90% of the stuff I tweet. I enjoy basketball discourse. That's just fun for me. Like all my close homies have kids. They don't have as much time to discuss with me. So now I post on Twitter and I debate y'all. It's fun. It's fun for me. Like people think I'm miserable. People think I hate my life. And I'm like, dude, I'm over here cracking up. And and I hate stands. I genuinely don't like stands. They idolize these players. These players can't do it.
You're not a Michael Jordan stan?
Nah, man.
What jersey you got on right now?
45 Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay. I just want to. Okay,
buddy. I know MJ has faults. A stan can't admit MJ has faults. I mean, they can't admit their guy has faults. Like there are things that I can admit that MJ did that were wrong, and there are series I can point at and be like, look, he could have done better here. But I don't, bro. Like my childhood goat is Allen Iverson. I'm the first one. You don't follow me, Lo. You don't know my posts, bro. I talk about like growing up. I realized as I matured, Iverson's game wasn't as effective as it could have been. He wasn't the wisest decision maker. A lot of times he was shot chucking, but he's my GOAT. Like I loved him. I idolized him. If I was ever a stan, I was an Iverson stan. But I can admit Kobe was the better player. I can admit like there was a reason.
LeBron is the better player.
Of who? Iverson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can admit that, bro. Like, I would be an idiot. I could admit that. Like, but what are you laughing at, bro? I'm not an idiot. Like, how am I gonna?
No. It's just the way you like pause for a second.
Yeah. But I pause because you know, bro. Well, you don't know because you don't follow me. You only see my negative tweets that blow up. I say a lot of positive about LeBron. I said more before. The older LeBron is getting more stat patty, is getting more doing things that I don't appreciate, but. We can get into that if you guys want to. What's this next comment?
So Godzilla 47 says, I doubt LeBron cares about something's respect. What is that emoji? I can't see it.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
But it looks like a throw up. I don't know. These guys, I get these comments daily.
That's an interesting question. Knowing what we know about LeBron publicly, wouldn't you say that he certainly cares about, what people say about him?
He definitely does. I don't.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like LeBron probably has burners out there and he's responding to us. I don't know. If KD's out there responding to us, I'm sure LeBron is too.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, if you miss it, Jacob is fresh off of an interaction with KD. If you want to know who is the most sensitive player, is KD without question. And a lot of us probably have the same stories, DMs or not, with that. To the point where it almost felt like KD doesn't necessarily believe that he is a top 5 of all time or scorer, whatever he is, right? He's got to be the top something, right? And if you felt that way and truly believed it, I'm not so sure you would interact the way he does, because he would be above that in my mind. But he might be like Jacob. He just likes the interaction, I guess, and touching the fans.
I think because I've gotten to know a little about KD and like through our interactions, I feel like he enjoys just debating hoops, and I feel like he's trolling sometimes. But I don't know if it's so much insecurity. Of course, there's some insecurity in there. But he always responds to me for whatever reason. I think it's because I call it how I see it, and I don't like idolize these guys. The only guys, like I said, that I would ever idolize, if Iverson responded to me, then I would get like butterflies. But everyone else, like, I don't really care, bro. I love KD, like his game, but like, who cares? Like, he's just a human being, just like you and me, bleeds the same blood that I bleed. So it's like, at the end of the day, I don't know about the whole psychoanalyzing the guy and saying he's insecure and he hates his life. A lot of these people are like, oh, start a family. I don't know about that, man. It's just Twitter. We're just talking basketball. He's just like one of us. I actually appreciate him. He's like just like one of us, man. He's a fan of the game. He's responding. It's cool. What if more players did that? How cool would that be?
Right, exactly. I mean, and we used to have more. Like, there used to be more on Twitter and stuff. I think that there are PR groups and there are people around them that have gotten them to stop doing that, I guess. And then Godzilla with one more. Thank you so much for being so generous with the super chats. Jordan had the biggest bag of crack, that is, I suppose, what he meant to say. As we know, I'm going to trade that one off. But, okay, here, just so you can see, like, here's a handbook from 1948, 49. These are all the rule books I bought. Basketball rules, 1954, 55. It goes on and on. And it's an amazing part of history to get these, because they talk about the rule changes from year to year, and that's where you get the glimpse of like what was happening at the time. And again, it just gets frustrating to me when we realize now that the way they call the game, I know, of course, they called the game differently back then, but equally, guys got away with carries and travels and stuff that they missed as well. So I would push back a little bit about like the fact that it was so much different, because it doesn't take me more than 4 minutes to watch an old clip of a game where I'm like, there's 3 travels and a carry and a whatever. Like they would, and it's because they missed it versus like maybe letting it go. But is there any difference at this point from a player standpoint in that game? So I think my point is, for a lot of our history of everything, it's not as different as we thought it was.
I agree. I wholeheartely agree.
And that goes, by the way, for social history as well and everything like that, like, where we're going with politics, everything. It seems like, this is new. I have books from basketball coaches in the 1920s complaining about how their players don't listen well enough and they don't play hard enough in practice. So it's like, we've been hearing all that stuff for all these years, but at any rate, so let's get back to the topic. Yeah.
Let me ask you something in regards to what you just said. If Clyde Frazier did a crossover back in the day, like Iverson, what is the ref calling?
Well, by the way, Clyde's a great person to point out, because
I'm about to say,
Clyde had a bag. By the way,
he did. Yeah, I'm about to say, Walt is amazing. He's a great pull, actually.
Of
course, he is.
Watch the 1967 or 68 Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's Celtics and Sixers when they were in Philly, and you'll see guards dribbling with their right hand, shuffling to the left. Right, like they can't dribble the left hand. They're shuffling, like galloping to the left with the right hand dribble. No one steals it. And then by 1970 or 71, Clyde Frazier is going, spin moves and through the legs. He's doing a lot of that stuff that didn't even exist years ago in the game. But I'll acknowledge I could picture right now the one with who's the Laker who was the Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan? Elgin Baylor. Elgin Baylor doing a crossover, and then out of nowhere, the guy just calls a carry on him, right? And we all.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I'm saying. People watch Elgin Baylor. I posted an Elgin Baylor highlight reel recently, and it was remastered, so it's color and everything. Yeah. And I had so many people clowning him, and I'm like, you guys are idiots. You don't understand that the refs would call everything a travel if he dribbled like today's guards. That's what bothers me, man. They disrespect the pass without realizing the rules were so different.
But I think that happens on both sides. I think that happens on both sides, though. I just hope that just happens on both sides of the aisle.
Are you talking about when they say, "Oh, there's no defense today"? Is that what you're talking about? A little bit.
Just in a general sense, I think that in a general sense, the way in which there's going to be some changes, and I think that by default, people will assess what's happening right now without. You can clearly tell they're either not watching or they don't have a hard time contextualizing what's happening in totality, and they just disregard what's going on instead of actually trying to comprehend. And so you're right. I think people on Twitter are probably not the best format to try to gauge an honest dialogue of old basketball, but that happens just on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree.
Have with a lot of you'll see a Euro called the travel in 1970, whatever it is, and it was legal even at the high school rules. It was legal, and they just saw something different and a little bit off or weird to them, and they just blow the whistle, right? And then it's a bad call. It's not that it was illegal back then. It was that the refs were just making bad calls on those, and some of them. Now, Step Through Joe, if you see him on Twitter, is finding all manner of one-footed step through at every level, all the way down to the 80s and 70s, where people were doing them and no one was calling travel, even though half the people on Twitter will say that's a travel when I was growing up, and it might have been anecdotally for they saw it once. But it turns out that a lot of refs were actually, processing it right. And just like we don't only see the negative tweets of yours, Jacob, we don't see the pro LeBron tweets. We don't see the thousands upon thousands of calls or non-calls of those plays. So that proved that the refs understood the rules and were calling the game properly. So it's always the ones that stand out. And it just makes me so frustrated, but it also makes me encouraged, because one of the reasons why the game, I think, is officiated as well as it is now, and I think it is because of the work that, we're all doing here to bring focus to that. And I'll have refs reach out to me and say, gosh, I thought that was a travel this whole time, and I'm not going to call that anymore. And I'm like, gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
I think the issue I have, Coach, with what Lowe says, he said, "Oh, Twitter isn't the best place for like people to have knowledge of basketball." Bro, we have current NBA players disrespecting past players. They're saying Wilt's 100 didn't happen. They're saying that like Giannis back then would score hundreds of points. Like
Yeah, that happens on both sides of the aisle. There's ex players that also disrespect current players. That happens on both sides of the aisle. It just happens. It happens on both sides.
Like that, man. They don't say ridiculous things like that.
Current ex players disrespecting current players has been going on since like the 80s.
Since when did they deny the 100-point Wilt game, bro? Like that's only a recent.
I think that's just. I don't think that's real. I think people are just trolling. The same way that you say like 10% of your stuff is trolls. I think that like majority of people may believe that it happened. They just want to see video evidence of how it happened, and there's more and more evidence of how Wilt would score in the early stages of his career, and then there's like more disbelief that comes along with how value like a lot of those numbers are. But like I don't think that's like real dialogue. But the idea of like players disrespecting other eras that they don't play in, or like saying like if you think that LeBron genuinely meant that about Giannis and not just being hyperbolic, the point that he's making is that Giannis would be able to play in any era because he's just a dominant player. Right. Like that's the gist of what he's saying. But that has existed since the 80s. I can go in the late 90s where Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell are swearing up and down that Shaq of all players wouldn't be that good in the 60s and 70s. Like that's been going on.
Well, let's talk about legacy for a second, because like for someone like LeBron, we've seen a LeBron player numerous times in the past, right? Like Karl Malone is a very similar player build-wise and even game-wise. Maybe not the post-ups as much, but certainly a lot of the similar stuff where he was just unstoppable going downhill to the basket. And then there were a number of other, 6'8", 6'9" guys who were really, really strong and powerful that could do that. Whereas like Michael comes in and is doing things that we've never seen, right? Like he's doing things from the guard spot that we had never. Oh, okay. You can argue it was Elgin Baylor and Dr. J to some degree, but it wasn't quite the same, and certainly fewer. So the legacy here is, the NBA ratings have been going down, right? I've been hearing from TNT and ESPN and all those people from behind the scenes. Sounds like there's a real problem. Right, like the ratings, and however you can look at them and mask them or whatever, and how we're digesting it is up for debate. But the interesting thing is this sort of the culmination of like LeBron's legacy? We've now gone through his entire career. We're getting there, and is everybody turning off? Is it related to that? And by the way, Steph Curry would definitely have something to say about this as well, because his legacy is going to be the three-point shooting revolution, which has now led to everybody just shooting threes. And that's another big one of the complaints, which you have to imagine might lead to ratings going down as well. So how do you guys see that in terms of what he means to the game and what his whole career as he's finishing his career, and whether there's a connection between that and the ratings?
I'll take a stab at this real quick. Ratings wise, I don't like, if anything, like Curry and LeBron aided that in many ways. If the argument is that like LeBron's ruining the ratings because like the ratings are down, but when he plays and even when Curry plays, the ratings are up, I don't see the correlation there. But when people make that assessment, that's just, if you just go throughout the course of NBA history, when they were gathering rating numbers, even when Jordan wasn't playing anymore, the ratings took a massive dip. So the ratings are just like based off of players that people have some type of connection with. And unfortunately, I do think most people just haven't had the most connection with some of the newer generation. But in terms of LeBron's like legacy overall as his career winds down, I definitely think, there's again positive and negatives behind it, but I definitely believe more so the idea of being more, I think positionless is probably easy way to consume it, but just the idea of a player being a bit more well-rounded than previous eras, that the role and responsibility is not completely dedicated to a specific position, rather than anybody can kind of do a little bit of everything. That existed before, but certainly took off with LeBron. I think that's probably the biggest change that has occurred pre and post LeBron now.
Interesting. What about you, Tom?
I'll take a stab at it. So other leagues like NFL and I think NFL and NHL are breaking records on views. So I would say ratings do matter. And if we're seeing a dip, there's an issue. And since we're talking about LeBron's legacy, I'll mention a few things that I'm critical about LeBron often on my page is him being buddy-buddy with his competitors. We saw it in this last playoffs. He's literally standing there laughing with Anthony Edwards. I was sick. I was ready to throw up when I saw that. I was like, dude, you're down 7 points in the fourth quarter. You're sitting there laughing with Anthony Edwards. Like, that bothered me so much because I'm a Kobe Mike guy. Kobe and Mike guy wouldn't talk to their own like teammates sometimes after a loss. Like they were so locked in, like laughing with your. It just blew my mind. You're down 7, you're laughing. Like that just showed me like LeBron doesn't care enough about winning, and it showed like he was happy with the stats because he had a good stat line that game. But his team took an L. So that creates buddy basketball. That creates less rivalries. You have the Lakers and Celtics dabbing each other like they're best friends, like Tatum, LeBron hugging, dabbing. Like you didn't see that with like Paul Pierce and Kobe before a game. Come on, like it just. I feel like people are into drama. Why does the UFC blow up? Why does like even like the WWE, like why does wrestling, like why do people like it? There's drama. There's like excitement. And like I feel like the NBA is taking that drama out of it. Like the Knicks Pacers back in the day. Who else? Like Pistons against Jordan. Like it was exciting basketball because there was hatred there. There was like a deep, like they didn't like each other and you sensed it. And I don't know, you don't really have that nowadays. And I feel like LeBron has kind of brought that into the game, which bothers me a lot. Also, like players don't have the same love and passion for the game. I don't see it, man. I don't see how you can make that argument when guys are making like Paul George is making more podcasts than he's playing basketball games. Like I was a Clipper season ticket holder when Paul George was on our team. I would care more after a loss than him. I would like specifically look at him. I'll look at his effort, and I'm like, bro, I care about this game more than Paul George cares about this game, and that pissed me off. I was like, and then I didn't renew my season ticket after that because I was like, why would I renew my season tickets if I care about this team more than my superstar Kawhi and Paul George does? You didn't see that as much in the 90s and the early 2000s. Guys really cared. There's a clip I shared on my Twitter of Derek Fisher and Kobe on the bench. Derek Fisher is literally in tears when he's losing in a playoff series. He's about to lose a playoff series. Kobe is on the verge of tears. He's like, I'm going to work myself till exhaustion in the offseason to get back here. Like, it meant something to them. And that's why a lot of these modern players, they're like on a fashion show. Like, they care about their clothes more than they care about the game. They care about their podcast more than they care about the game. And it pisses me off. And I think that fans resonate to that. Like, they resonate with guys not caring. If you don't care, I'm not going to care. And I see that in the game, and it bothers me, man. And I think LeBron is part of the issue. I'm not saying he's the main issue, but he's definitely influenced it in a negative way in that light.
Lo, I think you want to respond?
Yeah, there's Jesus a lot. So when Joel Embiid lost in the series, was he not crying?
Well, what was that, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Yeah.
Okay. So, well, you never seen Curry cry when he lost in the series?
Game.
But but the argument is that he doesn't care. So, like, they argue that like players don't care. Like, there's several players I've seen show emotions after a loss.
Curry cried? When did Curry cry? I don't remember Curry crying.
You've never seen Curry cry, even in a win or loss. In a win or loss, you've never seen Curry loss.
So we're talking about wins as well. What about?
No, I know. I'm saying in a general sense. I'm saying in a general.
How excited were they when they won?
I'm saying in a general sense, you've never seen Curry cry in a win or loss to try to gravitate to some form of emotion.
I feel like I have when he won, yeah. But what about the OKC Thunder this year, man? Were they excited when they won? You tell me, Lo.
I didn't watch it.
Is it fair?
You didn't watch this finals?
No, I didn't watch. I didn't watch them in the back when they were celebrating. I didn't watch it.
No, bro. Even right after, man. Right after Kobe jumps on Shaq, hugging him, they're crying. OKC Thunder are like walking down like another day today.
Well,
like,
it's two different things, real quick.
Bro, what the hell is going on here?
Well, it's like we can't really question what the inner workings of someone's emotions.
Yeah, you just sat there and said you didn't want to do that. You just sat there and said you didn't want to challenge someone's inner working when it came to KD, and here you are now trying to gauge how much someone cares or they don't care. You literally just said you don't want to do that, and yet here you are doing it. No.
Like you can based on actions.
Well, here the point being that
based on action. What do you mean?
What Jacob's thing is trying to say is that what the fans can connect with is the outward display of that, right? And if we don't see it, we can't. It's the Jerry Maguire thing, right? Where Rod Tidwell, when he finally just was able to show the fans how much he really cared in an outward way, because we know these players obviously care and are dedicated to their craft. They don't make it that far without having the killer instinct above all else. But there might be something there, like not that we need to see the OKC Thunder locker room partying, but it is interesting that like what we're missing here is that outward display that we can then connect.
But I think it's a catch-22. If I do that, then I get laughed at for celebrating something that should be quote unquote minuscule, right? So like Patrick Beverly celebrating that they won the play-in tournament, and everybody's laughing at him like, "Oh my God, they're acting like I'm actively doing the thing that you want," but then you make fun of me. When Kevin Durant actively cries when he gets the MVP, like then all of a sudden like that becomes a thing. When Joel Embiid cried when they got eliminated, that actually becomes a thing that people now make fun of. So I understand what y'all.
I respected it.
I know. I'm not saying that you may or may not respect it. What I'm saying is like there's always there's the other side of the aisle that can't be ignored when these things are occurring. In an overall sense, though, about players caring. Again, this is like a tired rendition of like things that I've heard even when I was growing up. Because in the 2000s, there were several people who did not believe that players cared back then. There were several people who sat there and claimed that players in the NBA are thugs, that they just sit here and they're all trying to redo Michael Jordan, that everybody just sitting there making a bunch of money when they're in the early stages of life, like in their teenagers and 20s, we're handing them hundreds of millions of dollars. Like that was literally what was being said in the early 2000s. And then even before that, people, trust me when I say, to Paul George, anybody else who's watching this, congratulations for having a podcast off the court. I'd rather you do that than doing crack or going around and having sex with hundreds of women. Like that where we are right now with people doing their time is much more constructive than what they used to do in prior eras. I don't know. Like I think we tend to
practicing basketball.
They were doing crack.
They were practicing basketball.
They were doing crack.
What are you talking about, man?
David Stern had to literally introduce like drug rules because that's how rampant it was in the 80s. Okay. Like, that was a real thing.
Instead of crack today, they're smoking weed. What's the difference?
You think there's not a difference between weed and crack? Okay. Let's we're losing it. All right.
Like you're acting like everybody was smoking crack. There weren't, bro. There was a time.
And you're acting like everyone doesn't care. You're acting like everyone doesn't care.
They do, bro. Like a lot of them don't, man. You can see it on the court. You don't see it on the court, especially in the season. You don't see people not trying.
You don't think
I'm just making this up?
No. I think that you're hyper focused on things like Coach Nick said. I think a lot of these things occurred. I know for a fact a lot of these things occurred in previous eras of basketball. It's just that we either romanticize or it's not as openly publicized as it is right now because we didn't have the ability to watch as much basketball back then. But I just got done watching the 81 finals. The amount of times players are just deciding not to run back in transition in the finals is ridiculous. It happens all the time.
Huh. Well, the other thing
Coach, the main factor that you're not addressing is guys are making 100, 1,000 times more than guys were making back then. Like the guys back then, it was more for the love of the game, in my opinion, than now. Now a lot of them are. They could
if they love the game of basketball,
they cannot win one.
Not running back.
Let me finish.
They
can win. They can win no games.
Moses, Robert Reed, it's a couple of them.
Robert Reed, was on crack.
If you're talking about like possessions, that happens in every game. What do you mean, bro? Like I don't even understand what that point meant. Like it's all relative, bro. But people now
I agree, it's relative.
300 million, whether they win or not. Like even coaches, man. I'll tell you this. I'm a Clippers fan. I watch my Clippers press conferences especially after the playoffs. Ty Lue stands there and he laughs, bro. Like after a loss, he's giggling, he's laughing. I'm like, bro, this guy does not give a crap if we win or lose. Like I'm devastated. Like I'm on the verge of tears. Like I care about this team more than my players and my coach. Right. That's what bothers me, man. Why would somebody be invested in the team and a coach if they're like giggling, laughing like schoolgirls in the middle of a basketball game down 7? Like, come on, man. How do you not see that?
For what it's worth, Ty Lue went through apparently a horrible psychological spell after coaching Cleveland, and had to get out of that because he took it too seriously, I think, and was holding on way too tight. But let me get to a couple more super chats.
So now he doesn't care. Cool.
All right, so we have Kokoro Gospel. Thank you so much, Kokoro. To be honest, whenever I think of crossovers, the first person that comes to mind are Tim Hardaway Sr. and Allen Iverson. So, or even thinking about the original Isaiah Thomas. So in the 80s and 90s, we did have some of the Kyrie stuff going on. There was a bag from some of those players. I think the coaching was probably more the culprit they were the ones who said, we don't need that. We don't want that, which is bizarre to me because the NBA was an entertainment then as well. And it's amazing that like Isaiah and Hardaway did it anyway, right? Like, and they were that good. I mean, I would put Hardaway's crossover up against anything I see today. And still
the UTEP 2-step. I still use that in my game. I love Tim Hardaway's crossover.
Well, we have another one from a Kokoro Gospel. Thank you so much. Really generous of you. To Lowe's point, we can go back and watch footage of Kobe's 81-point game. There isn't a lot of tape, if any, from Wilt's 100-point game. So as the years go by, it will seem more mythical. We've never had any film from that.
Yeah, there's no.
We have a live radio broadcast of it.
Yeah.
And I posted it on my feed. So
Now,
I mean, and we have a player that played against Wilt that was in that game that confirms it. So I mean,
yeah.
Did you enjoy the stat padding in that game though? Did you enjoy the stat padding in the game?
Give me a second. We don't have video footage of Jesus Christ either, but we all believe in Jesus. So I don't know. Like,
did you enjoy the stat padding in that game? Did you enjoy the stat padding in that game? When they were fouling, when they were up by, there was like 7 minutes left, and they just started fouling to get the ball back. Did you enjoy that? Did you think that was great basketball?
I think if you're shooting for 100, that's actually pretty cool. But if you're stat padding to keep up your averages and do
that was
nonsense,
it's stat padding.
Yeah,
you're right. If that's what happened, yeah.
But it's not what if you're claiming that you heard the whole radio broadcast, they literally say it in the radio broadcast that they're fouling.
Yeah, as a pure basketball fan, I think all stat padding is weak. Yeah, so including that.
Okay, so it's weak. Okay, cool. All right.
Now, the other thing that should be noted is that Wilt went 28 from 32 from the free throw line. Notoriously was a terrible free throw shooter. So, and by the way, also of note, he shot them all underhanded, and yet never, continued to do it that way. Despite the crowning achievement in his career. So that speaks about something else in him or whatever. But let's get to a couple more of these super chats. Dime Dropper Pod. Hey, thanks, Dime Dropper. Good to see you. I think you guys were interacting with the KD thing, right?
Dime is a close friend of mine. Love that guy.
All right. So, Coach, do you acknowledge dribbling pronated with your offhand with a guy on your hip is harder compared to what's allowed now? Good discussion. Dribbling pronated with your offhand with a guy on your hip is harder.
He's talking about the Clyde comment I made. He's talking about the Clyde comment I made when I said, "Hey, what would they call?" He's saying, "Wasn't it more difficult back then to dribble?"
Yes,
with the rules that.
Yeah, I mean, and that was my point. Was that it dribbling development, because we all thought we had to have our hand on top of the ball. Once we discovered, it's legal to have in the front, the sides. All of a sudden, it made even just doing between the legs easier, right? Or the way you were supposed to do it. I know no one worked harder than me in my dribble in the 80s, and I never got much better at dribbling besides just very basic stuff. And it was only because of that, And so
hand over the ball.
Yeah, and then even floating. If you were to float the dribble, I would love to see what would happen. Keep your hand on top of the ball, but let it flow a little higher, and then you can do a couple steps in between. I wonder what those reps back then would have called, because now when you teach a high school player to do that, it's such a huge advantage. And if you're out there in high school, by the way, and you're learning how to dribble, learn how to float your dribble. You have more steps in between that you can become a lot more deceptive with on those versus just, pounding the ball as hard as you can, as quickly as you can, which is what nobody really does. And yet we continue to teach dribbling that way too. So there's
Iverson
harder, and it's delayed.
It's Iverson that changed it, Coach. Iverson. Remember when he first came into the league, they were calling him travel, and then they changed it. That's what changed the game.
Yeah. They finally said, well, wait a minute, is it really a carry? And they're like, it turns out it wasn't, because the ball never really paused, and he would cuff it, but a hand on top of the ball or the side. So thank you, Iverson. I'm not a big Iverson fan, but what he did there to open up the dribbling. Now, again, we're probably where we are now, which has gone too far, right? I think the carrying stuff is a problem. There's no question they're getting under the ball a little bit too much. They're letting it pause too much. You know what I mean? Like that's a problem that they could easily fix. And they tried. Remember a few years ago, for the first month or two of the season, they called it, and I thought it was great. They cleaned it up, and then they forget about it. It's really interesting. So anyway, let's get to a couple more of these to clean this up. Kokoro, thank you so much. Appreciate the shout out, Coach. It's hey Joe, good to see you. A new name. Joe has always been a part of our shows. Always great to see you. Thank you so much. And then another one. My goodness, user NQ1VG7. Is this a bot? 7KT. Didn't MJ go golfing with Danny Ainge? Ooh. Back to our conversation about how players didn't fraternize. By the way, Magic and Larry were not friends at all, but they became friends late, around I think 87, when they filmed that commercial for Converse. And then they were friends, and they were still battling for a few years after that. So I suspect, but I don't think we can compare the camaraderie we have now with then, right?
It's different. Coach, have you heard Barkley talk about it? Barkley says, like, in the finals, he felt like Jordan was his friend, like Jordan was buying him gifts and stuff and was being nice to him. And then he later realized Jordan was just like buttering him up so that he didn't go as hard or wouldn't. Yeah. I don't know. But I feel like both Kobe and Jordan were kind of psychotic when it came to their competitive side. So I think even if he was golfing with them, there might have been like a ulterior motive where the guy was just, I don't know. They were different, man. Like, even, have you heard? Yeah. Like, have you heard the story of like Kobe and Reggie Miller? Reggie Miller, like he invited him to play him like one-on-one, and he was like nitpicking his brain, learning his moves, and then he used his moves against him and knew his moves in the finals when they matched up. It was a different kind of like obsession to win, you know. So I don't see that in LeBron. LeBron is.
Do you see that in anybody?
What, the psychotic competitive spirit? I actually see a little bit of Anthony Edwards. That's why I like that guy. But he's been a 3-point trucker this last year, which was a little disappointing. But yeah, I see Anthony Edwards like talking trash in the middle of a game, going at guys. There was a specific game that was a Clippers game I watched where he even made Paul George just like avoid him, and I was like, man, that reminds me of Mike. Like, the mental edge and the like relentless attack that makes a guy like submit. And I lost respect that game for Paul George, and I liked Anthony Edwards.
He might have a good point, don't you think? I'm trying to picture somebody else who's like that. But now, is that
Giannis too,
more of that or not?
I think that, again, I mean, I think Kobe and Jordan and a couple other people. I don't think it's just those two. Like KG, I think they are like different in a lot of sense. But I think that for whatever reason, people tend to utilize them and believe that like the entire decade that they played in or era that they played in adopted their mentality, when we know that wasn't the case. So when people are referencing stuff like back in the day, this and that third happened, it was really just like a handful of players that would probably play that way or do certain those things. There's a lot of other players that just didn't do those things. Like, right. as much as Kobe was dedicated to like practicing and getting better, like Allen Iverson openly admitted that he wasn't. Like Shaq wasn't. Like, there's a lot of other players that like openly stated that he just weren't as dedicated and weren't willing to do those things. But then when we say back in my day, it's like, no, it was probably just Kobe, Jordan, KG, like a handful of players. But for the most part, it's probably very similar. It's probably much closer to what we see today than you realize.
The other issue I think we had was we were having a lot of it was exactly what you were talking about, Jake, what you wanted. It was really everybody hated each other. It was really physical. There were a lot of fights. And the NBA decided they wanted to clean that up and not have as much fights. And so how do you do that, right? Well, you have to diffuse that some way. And I don't think they tolerate the kind of behavior that they used to. I mean, I think that there used to be players, if you want to point back to like the Rodmans and that kind of era, where you guys get in trouble a lot more often than they do now, right? We don't really see a ton of NBA players. They got the message, I almost think, as kids, as they're in all those elite camps or whatever, and they talk to them all the time. The NBA does not tolerate this. They won't do, whatever. And I almost feel like this is what they've gotten. What you get is OKC. You get a bunch of players who, they don't know how to like party. They don't know. They're so straight laced. They're almost like their personality traits are an interesting part of the spectrum where it's like they're just basketball players, right? Without a whole lot of personality. And maybe that's the other thing that you're talking about, Jacob, but what we're missing here is because it's the personalities that we can kind of connect with. And we don't have as much, whether it's Michael Jordan personality, which is like, oh, that guy is serious, or it's Rodman, or it's Iverson, or anything else, right? Like that might be what we're missing. And it's kind of a bland product now.
I think to piggyback off of what you're saying, Coach, you're right, because after the Malice at the Palace, like the league cracked down hard on like players having emotions, like drama, like even like some of these texts, like when a guy dunks on someone and looks at them, they get a tech.
Yeah.
Like, that's killing the game, man. Like, it's taking the emotion, the drama, like in the NFL too. Like, they got rid of celebrations after like touchdowns. Like, you get a flag. Like, people like that stuff. People like the drama. People like the intensity. You take the intensity and the drama out of a basketball game, it turns cold, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And I think that has played a role in the ratings dropping.
Yeah. Okay. We got some more super chats are coming in today. Thank you guys so much. Let's get through them because I know we're getting close to the end of the show. But user NQ is back with us. Thank you so much. There is a clip posted by GJK when Jordan laughing and gambling when he lost to the Celtics. I don't know what that post is, but listen, with enough clips,
I need context. I don't know what clip that is.
Yeah, you can probably find that everybody has.
Is he talking about?
Okay, good point. And then same one, Godzilla's back. Thanks. Jordan had such a mental edge that he retired. Right. Yeah, I mean, when LeBron retires, here's the interesting thing about LeBron real quickly is that he's played for so long that I just fear that what we're going to remember from him is the last few years, right? Certainly we're going to remember that most, which is still good. But like you go back and watch the highlights from the first 5-6 years of his career, like I don't think everyone remembers that LeBron. That LeBron was Michael-esque, in the way his explosion and it's just off the charts athletic ability. And now he's the more like he just dissects the game, slows it down, all that kind of stuff. So I suspect that we're only going to remember mostly the last few years, which is really kind of too bad because it's not the best of LeBron, right? LeBron, we should be in awe of what he could do, and as a result, that's my fear. You know what I mean? Does that resonate with you guys?
Yeah, I agree. I think Jordan leaving while he was still at the top of his game is kind of a legendary move because people usually at the end of their careers, even Kobe, like the last 2-3 years, it was just hard to watch, man, and you feel bad for the guy, and it's like.
That's what you remember.
Jordan talks about. He's like, if I can't be the greatest version of myself, I don't want to be. Like he talks about. He's like, I don't want to be playing a half-ass version of myself. Yeah. And I respect him, man. That was his stance. He wanted to be the best version of himself. And once he realized he can't be the best version of himself, he's like, all right, I'm gonna walk away from the game. And I respect it. That was his stance.
Well, those are the 2 years in Washington, though, that kind of go against that a little bit. Even though he's still pretty good. But again. He was lucky they did it in Washington where it was just sort of like off the beaten path and people weren't paying attention as much. So what we still remember is 98, 97. But LeBron on the main stage, I worry about that because, again, at his height, he was 1B, and now I'm thinking, okay, he doesn't play defense that much, and there's all the other stuff that's going on around here, the sun, everything, that I just worry that it's going to affect that legacy.
Yeah, I think that's most players though, because I think even Dirk is probably a really great example of I think Dirk and Duncan. I think a lot of people just remember them like post 2010, and that's like far removed from the caliber of players that they actually were at their absolute best.
Yeah, that's another great point. Another user, NQ1DG. Thanks so much. Didn't MJ gamble in '93 Eastern Conference Finals? I don't remember ever seeing anything like that, but I do know that He did. He gambled.
Jordan got in trouble that he was like leaving from the arena to go to what is that in New Jersey? The gambling site in New Jersey, the casino, Atlantic City.
Yeah,
and then would come back.
Okay.
In the playoffs to go play, and they wrote about it and everything.
I
mean, he was dedicated. I mean, back in the day, how dedicated they were off the court. I mean, it's
low. Did he end up winning? Let me know if.
But is your argument winning or is it dedication?
No, my point. Well, bro,
because Draymond started his podcast when they won the finals, so they won that final. So was that a problem or was that not a problem?
You know what the problem with Draymond is? He's giggling and laughing with LeBron on the basketball court while he's
was that. But did he win though? But did he win though? But did he win though?
I don't remember him winning.
He won that game. Yeah, he won that game. That game that you're referring to, he won that game. He won that game.
He's been posting a lot of podcasts, so.
But he won that game though. But he won that game.
More podcasts.
He won that game though. But he won that game though.
Jordan would play golf 20 minutes before a game and come and drop 45 on the same person that he just played golf against. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, but that's just Jordan though. But Barkley would also gamble. He would lose though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you want to get into conspiracies. Michael Jordan's father.
Most of them did that. Yeah.
It could be related to that. Also, Michael having to retire for those 2 years could very well have been that he was forced to do that and not decided on his own to do that. He has to go away for a couple of years. Listen, I love a good conspiracy, but it seems a little like that could have happened, which, by the way, it would be a negative mark against Michael Jordan in theory, right? Because
Draymond, by the way, lost the series against Braun 4-2. So
no. When Draymond was giggling and laughing, I know exactly what game you're talking about.
He lost
won
that
game.
Series.
No, the game that you're referring
okay. So
to.
we're talking about the games, not.
Yeah, I remember the game you're talking about. Yeah, I remember the game you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly what game you're talking about.
So who won the game?
Modern fan, series doesn't matter to you. Game matters.
Who won?
Well, even the game, I remember because I got upset at LeBron for laughing at Draymond because I was like, "Why are you laughing at him when you're losing right now?" I remember it vividly. And actually, I think I put it on Twitter. I got upset at that. Yeah. But overall, like even when Draymond started his podcast, there were ex-NBA players who were upset that he started his podcast during that same year that they started the run. Okay. They did the run. They started he started a podcast, and he ended up finishing that run, winning a championship. So does it? I'm asking, does it matter now? And also to compound that question, this is where I'm kind of confused because it sounds as if like your focal point is on two players, but you're talking about an entire era. So if you remove Michael Jordan from the 90s, let's talk about everybody else. Everybody else was losing outside of Hakeem. So all these people who were losing in the 90s, they were also gambling. They were also playing golf. They were also out late at night playing poker, throwing people out of windows like Barkley did, but they were losing. So this idea that like, oh, now in today's world, oh my God, I can't believe in today's world they sitting here doing this and not winning. But this stuff, you can date it back to the 90s. They were doing this in the 90s.
Tell me this.
Mm-hmm.
Which era practiced harder?
I don't know. It depends on which player. Because I mean, in the 70s they were doing crack.
No, teams.
80s they
Which
were probably.
Teams?
I don't know.
Players.
I'm not in the locker room in the gym when they're practicing, so I really wouldn't know.
I've had discussions with current players, and I've asked them these questions, and I can tell you that back then was a lot more difficult.
What's back then?
90s, 2000s, any of those eras.
So 80s,
90s. It's a fact, brother. It's a fact. They practice harder.
I want to be clear. I'm not refuting if it's a fact or not. I don't know. I'm not there playing with them.
They practice more. Well, look it up, man. I've looked it up.
But
which era did more? Which era did more crack in their off time?
Well,
stop bringing up the crack, man. You're talking about like the 80s.
You're bringing up.
I'm not talking 80s. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not that familiar with the 80s.
Okay.
The eras I'm talking about is 90s.
Okay,
90s,
I'll ask the question again then. Outside of Jordan, when everyone else in the 90s was losing, why were they doing those things off the court, such as gambling, such as partying, such as doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but they were still losing? Because I agree with Jordan should have the privilege effectively do whatever he wants to do because he's winning. But if everyone else in the 90s are losing, why were they doing those things?
Brother, we've had players and coaches, including Steve Kerr, come out and say that they don't practice nowhere near as hard as they did back then.
That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I'm asking you.
That's what I'm talking about. What are you talking about? You're talking about.
I'm talking about because the initial statement that you made was about things that people are doing off the floor. That's what you said, and you reference how Kobe and Jordan didn't do those things. And the point that I keep trying to hone in right now is that there's this myth that for whatever reason, when you say back then, that Kobe and Jordan, they without a doubt had a mentality that was above all. But everyone in the league didn't adopt that. So now I'm asking you, if you keep talking about back then, let's talk about back then and not only just one player. So the rest of the players in the 90s.
You want me to name you players? Name you players that are dedicated to their craft more than players today. Is that what
No. I'm asking back then in the 90s where you claim it didn't happen. Why was it that there were players that were doing a bunch of things off the court but still losing, such as a Charles Barkley, such as a Karl Malone, such as a Patrick Ewing, such as a John Stockton? Why is it that they were doing things off the court but still losing?
Only one player and team can win, buddy. Who was winning?
Jordan retired and they didn't win for 2 years and they still didn't win. No. Jordan retired and it was a 2-year
and
gap.
And he won the Rockets both years.
Okay. So in those 2 years. So in those 2 years, I'm asking questions. So in those 2 years, why is it that Barkley, Malone, all these other players, Ewing, why is it? Because effectively we're still doing these things. Every year there's only one player that can win, one team that can win. Every year that's true. But yet that doesn't stop you from criticizing players in today's game, which is fine. I'm now asking, why don't you hold that same criticism to everybody else in the 90s, outside of Jordan and Hakeem?
I'm telling you my criticism. My criticism is they don't practice as much as back then. They don't practice as much. I'm telling you my criticism, and you keep repeating your question. My criticism is they don't practice like they did back then. They don't have practices like they do because they're trying to prevent injuries, and yet we have more injuries than ever before. So clearly,
I think you're missing.
No practice. It's the medicine and the medical doctors and all that stuff. The analysis of that to some degree. Although you can argue that without practice, they're not, and they're going to get hurt because they're not. We can actually. Sorry, Coach. We can actually go back to another thing that LeBron did, player empowerment. That's actually caused part of this, because I have reports watching podcast shows saying that like during practice, Kawhi Leonard was breaking traditions and he didn't give a crap. Brian Shaw said there was a tradition: if you airball a shot, you have to run laps.
And do you think that Kawhi Leonard was the first player to ever break tradition, though? Because Mark Jackson, I'm not saying he's the first ever, but I'm saying Mark Jackson even talks about this. He says Patrick Ewing, there was something he didn't want to do, in regards to
team meeting or team bus. He was our best player, but he still did it because back then there was no such thing as players doing whatever the hell they wanted.
One for the
Stars run the show now, man.
I got one for you. Back in the day, rookies had to carry bags to the bus or whatever from the airport or the whatever. Mm-hmm. And guess which rookie refused to do it and probably broke the whole mold for everybody in the league?
Michael Jordan?
No, Kobe.
Kobe?
Michael Jordan.
The
guy was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And you know what? I don't blame him. I think amazing. Whatever is not.
I think.
Didn't Iverson notoriously not practice?
That's not correlated, guys. That's not correlated to on practice or in practice.
Hold on, wait. But I'm asking you. Didn't Iverson notoriously not practice? Wasn't Iverson?
No, there was one interview. There was one interview of Iverson saying we talking about practice, and he was drunk, and his best friend had just been shot and killed. That's the interview.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the interview. I'm not.
And people take that and think Iverson didn't practice.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. There is a podcast that he's done post his career where he openly stated that he just didn't practice hard. That he may have want to run 5-on-5s, but he didn't. He wasn't a guy that practiced hard. He went out there and practiced all the time. He wasn't that. Right. He literally said that.
Well, let's.
I haven't seen the interview, but I do.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Don't worry about it.
Q Spade's not here.
Kobe was dedicated way more than Iverson. That's why he was better than Iverson. Right.
Hang on, we'll get back to that. MJ 93 was gambling in Atlantic City before playoff games, but LeBron gets criticized more for laughing during playoff games. So, okay, interesting point there.
I don't know that's correlated.
We have another one from the user NQ again. Thank you so much. Really generous of you. My name is Scott Warrior. Your 90s era had Karl Malone. Don't tell me about professionalism. Well, is he criticizing Karl for like getting a young girl pregnant, or what's the professional?
I think that's probably what it is.
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Because other than that, I mean, the way he played was professional, right? As far as I know. But yeah, it's hard to ignore that part. By the way, here's what I didn't even realize. It doesn't make it worse or better. It's awful. But he was 20, right? And the girl was
13.
Yeah, I had always thought he was older when she was 13. So not that
it was when he was in college when he did that.
Yeah. Anyway,
the NBA tried to like put it under the wraps.
But there's lots of professionalism issues with a lot of players in that era for sure. That there is anymore because the NBA cracked down on all the things. And you're right. There is a little bit of a lament that we don't. It's a bit of a vanilla league now in terms of character.
I mean, we have scandals all the time now too. Zion, Anthony Edwards. Yeah, like you haven't heard stuff in regards to their romantic relationships. Like apparently Anthony Edwards texted some girl, said, "I'll pay you this much, abort your baby." Horrible stuff, man. There's always going to be horrible stuff. It's human beings. There's a lot of evil in this world.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you
must say all the time. Zion got some girl pregnant, and her baby mama was posting stuff. You guys didn't see this stuff? It happened last year.
No, I don't know. MPJ is the most scandalous thing I've seen, and I don't even who cares anymore about that stuff. But okay, all right. I mean, I think it feels like it's different, but maybe it's not. Again, maybe we're proving this the same time over and over again that there isn't much different.
Yeah, I don't really think it's that much difference.
Yeah, I mean, or they're just better at hiding it.
They are way better at hiding it. That's the
better at hiding. Yep.
Poker
it is like burner accounts.
I specifically remember years ago, KD was once tweeted about watching the History Channel in the club. That still throws me to this day. Do you guys remember that?
I don't know the History Channel. I remember people would make fun of KD because he would be in the club and he would still he wouldn't interact. He would just be like watching stuff on his. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Wow. All right, good.
Yeah, I mean, KD loves basketball. There's footage of him in the club, like practicing his form. I respect it.
that type of stuff.
And then user NQ again. Thank you, my goodness. Thank you so much.
Secondary team.
Appreciate it. Hakeem Olajuwon was faking injuries. There's articles about it. I never heard anything about that.
Yeah, in the late 80s or like 90, 91, the owner of the team was accusing Hakeem of faking injuries because they were trying to figure out like why wasn't he trying to return back and stuff like that. Kenny Smith had to come out and say like, oh no, he's not faking injury. That's a bad claim. But yeah, the people who were accusing Hakeem of faking.
So we're talking about one anomaly where 90% of that league.
No. It's not one anomaly. Shaq, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman. Scottie Pippen literally did not want to take that surgery until the season started, which enforced him miss the entire basically half of the season. It's not one anomaly.
We have John Stockton playing 82 games, like 14
Oh,
straight
no.
seasons. We have Michael Jordan playing 82 games. How many?
Chris Paul just played 82 this past season.
Because Chris Paul has an old school mentality.
I want to be clear. I'm not sitting here saying that there's not players in today's era that are at fault. My problem is that you make this totality statement of saying,
no, I'm not
what happened, and then you only reference like 3 to 4 players. What I'm saying is
anomalies, brother. You can always find anomalies.
Scottie Pippen was not an anomaly.
The majority. What was the majority of the league, brother? Majority of the league was trying to play every game. Yes, they were, bro.
Scottie Pippen is not an anomaly. I can name the players.
Brother,
I can name the players.
We have to beg players.
I can name the players. I can name the players.
We have to put shit in their contracts for them to
I can name the players. I can name the players.
I mean,
you're telling me there was majority.
I can name the players
that way, yeah.
I can name the players. I can name the players.
You're picking a handful of players.
Also, I have the Iverson clip whenever you want to play it, because Iverson
that's cool,
flat out said.
You can send that to me later. Look,
no, we're about to play it now. We're about to play it now.
That's great. Play it now. Listen, Iverson is my childhood. I'll be the first one to say that I wish he practiced more. I wish he was as dedicated to his craft as Kobe was. I agree with you on that take.
Have a question yourself and be like, well,
no, because you can't be a bad motherfucker like that if you don't practice.
Right.
Like,
well, the statement itself made people think that you
I didn't care about practice. Yeah,
and, you know, like you had bad practice habits.
But okay.
Did you have bad, let's clear that up. Did you have bad practice habits? Was you like like real?
I can't wait to answer
practice?
This.
Was you serious about your practice, or were you?
I ain't give a fuck about drills.
Okay.
But if you play 5-on-5, then I'm ready. I want to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't care too much for this way. You know what I mean? Like,
you already knew that.
Throw the ball up and let's go. Like that was my thing. You know what I mean? Like,
so you didn't have a pattern of skipping practice. You went to practice, but you just didn't like certain things.
I had a pattern of skipping.
Yeah.
Because they were doing drills that day.
No. Sometimes I was out too late. And when I come in there, I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? I'm a man. I'm a human.
You're a hawk.
I'm just telling you what you want me to lie to you, make it sound fly to you?
So the point I am saying that I want to put out there is that, yes, I'm not sitting here refuting that there aren't players in today's game, or even if you want to say some mentality, right? But again, the problem that I have is that there's this belief that it only happens today, but there's players that we idolized back then that did it. So Iverson isn't the only one. Shaq also did it as well. Barkley also did it as well. What's the Pippen waiting until the season began to get a surgery that he knew he was supposed to get that forced him to miss half the season. He did that as well. Pippen used to go on straight up tours, media tours, begging to get traded. He would do that all the time in the middle of the season. He did that all the time. So my point is this. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen. My problem is that there's this mythology that everyone is Kobe and Jordan. That's not true. That is not.
Well, if everybody had the practice habits of Kobe and Jordan, they would have been equally or near as great.
I wholeheartedly agree. I agree with you. I agree.
No.
I agree.
What I want you to know is the issue now is it's a team thing, brother. Teams aren't practicing because of injury prevention. Teams don't have that same dedication to what they did back then.
So what was Iverson? What was Iverson?
You called out 4 players like as if
I can name more. Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was notoriously known for doing a bunch of things.
Now, bro, Steve Kerr talked about teams don't practice today.
Okay,
bro.
But I'm asking you where was the mentality? Okay, I'm asking, but where's the mentality for Iverson with Dennis Rodman? For
Iverson is my GOAT because of his playing.
But Dennis Rodman. Where was the mentality for Dennis Rodman? Why did Dennis Rodman
was a party animal, but he would come back and he would still put up numbers, but it wasn't the leader.
And he would stop. He would stop in the middle of a season to go.
Rodman wasn't even starting in the finals in the last finals '98, bro. People don't.
We're talking about the totality of his career. This is not something that is Jordan.
Bro, he was a party animal.
Let's talk about before Jordan. Teams. Why is it that teams didn't want to even sign Dennis Rodman?
Majority. Do you understand the word majority? Do you understand what that word means, Lo? Where the majority of the guys doing this, they weren't.
Oh no,
Majority of guys were practicing. The majority of teams were practicing.
But what I'm saying is, you're asking.
Now they don't even practice. Do you understand that?
I want to be clear. This all started because you are trying to claim that part of LeBron's legacy is for initiating some of this behavior. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What I am now showing you is that there were players before LeBron even came into the league that were doing this.
Minority.
No.
Just get to
minority back then. It was the minority. Now it's the majority. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Bro. You can always find an outlier. You keep finding outliers. Look, I won.
These are
outlier. What do you mean, bro?
Yeah, but doesn't that mean it's even worse though? Doesn't that mean that if Iverson is supposed to be one of the faces, he's leading it. He is the guy. Same with Shaq. He's leading the course from what is supposed to be the end of Jordan era into another era. And if some of the people that people are gravitating to are people like Shaq and Iverson before LeBron, wouldn't that mean that they are some of the people who are laying the foundation before LeBron?
You could possibly make that case. I'm not saying LeBron.
It's not a possibility. That's what it is. That's just the facts, dog. It's not a possibility. That's the facts.
I'm not saying LeBron is the end-all, be-all that created this. Obviously, there was a slow build-up, and then LeBron took it to another level. He started freaking being a GM. We didn't have players being GMs back then. Are you kidding me? Like, he's calling up his buddies.
Charles Barkley was literally flying over the country to sit down with the general manager and tell the GM.
Not a prime Barkley.
Charles Barkley literally flew across the country, sat down with the Portland Trailblazers GM, told the GM who he needs to trade. Is that not being a GM?
No, you could do that. Sitting down with your GM talking. I'm talking about
no. Let me repeat what I said again. Let me repeat what I'm saying because you're not listening. No. Listen. Listen to what I'm saying. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Jacob, you misunderstood what I'm saying. So let me say it again. He played in Philly. He flew to Portland to sit down with the Portland Trailblazers general manager. Yeah, you missed that. Yes. But he sat down with the Portland Trailblazers general manager, told him who to trade to put him on the team with Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter to build that team. Is that 89, 90 isn't prime Barkley?
Yeah. It wasn't prime Barkley, bro.
That's not prime Barkley? Whoa, no way.
He wasn't on the team, which is a little different than being on the team and then controlling the team.
Again, Lo, you come up with one guy and you claim the era was that. The era wasn't like that.
All I'm saying
that. It was a rare situation.
Part of the reason
LeBron, Kawhi, all these guys making moves making controlling franchises. You didn't have that back then, bro.
Part of the
narrative that's not true. That was a minority.
That's not narrative. That's what Barkley did. That's what Barkley did. He admitted that.
Again, minority, majority. Remember, I asked you to explain to me.
Do you think majority of people are calling up? Wait, I'm asking. You think majority of stars
now? Yeah, majority of stars.
You think majority of stars are calling each other up?
Stars in the NBA now do.
You think Jokic is calling up other stars?
Jokic is actually one of my favorite stars. So
is Giannis calling up other stars?
Giannis and Jokic are both old school mentality. They're not like
is hanging out a lot, right? And there's an interesting
there's several stars that don't. Anthony Edwards is calling up other stars.
I'm sure he is, bro. These guys do that.
You don't know.
I wouldn't know. I don't talk to Anthony Edwards. How would you know that? How would we know? We'll see how his career goes. Just wait.
Here's the question, Wayne. Why do fans continue to perceive the game within periphery of the past, despite it holding back its evolution? Is it indicative of a broader national phenomena that resents challenging the status quo? I don't know.
That's for Jacob, I guess.
We perceive the game within the perimeter of the past. Well, I mean, how else do we perceive the game unless we're looking at it from the past and where we've gone to? But I think the point being is it's holding it back, the evolution of the game, because we're clinging to what it used to be. I think that's what he's saying.
I think you could point out the good today, the bad today, and the good back then and the bad today. That's how you make a game evolve, and that's what I dedicate my page to, pointing out the good and the bad. My bad blows up, my good basically doesn't get any views, and people think all I talk about is hate. I have plenty of I talked about Nembhard's defense in the playoffs. I talked about how I love Pascal Siakam. I actually enjoyed this year's finals, guys. Like, people think I hate today's game. That's not true. If you follow me, you'll see I post a lot of good content too. I don't know. People love negativity. That's what blows up on this on my page. It's not my fault. Go look at my tweets. I talked about how I love Pascal. I think he's a dog on defense. I love how Nembhard does things that people don't notice. Like, he pulls the chair often on defense, and people don't notice those little nuances. And it's I love that kind of stuff, man. People think I hate every bit of today's game. I literally go to Clipper games. I was a season ticket holder last year. Like, I love the Clippers. I'm not a stan, like Lo said. I'm a genuine Clipper fan. I've been a Clipper fan since I was a little kid. Like, that's my team. I don't care about. I might talk a lot of stuff about Kawhi and all the guys that we have, because they're here today, they're gone tomorrow. But my team is the Clippers. I don't care about what Stan say about Kawhi and all these other guys.
And if you watch 1981 playoff games, you're going to realize pretty quickly you don't want to go back to that. Like that, none of that you would want to play to watch anyway, right? I think we can agree on that, whether it's too many threes or whatever. They're not playing hard enough. At least the style of game is a lot better now, I would think, than it was back then. And I remember right when the dawning of the modern game that we have now, going back to the 85 finals, I'm going to watch Magic and Larry. It's going to be awesome. And it was like two-man game on one side. The ball didn't swing, and it was a three-man standing there. It was really not that exciting. There wasn't X's and O's to observe, and the defense was not nearly as complicated either. So let's get to the next question, though. We have a user. Your era had Dennis Rodman. Okay, so there's your example, Jacob. So we had Dennis Rodman.
Y'all won. We had Dennis Rodman.
Cool.
Always find outliers. Again, majority, minority. Please look at what.
Kokoro, thank you. 2013 Bron was peak Bron. I remember that version. Okay, yeah, that's about 9 years into his career. That's when the peak is there for sure. We have Teddy Hart, 2913. Thank you so much, Teddy. What basketball opinion do you have that you believe in fully, yet sounds nuts if you said it publicly?
I have a few of them, but okay.
I say everything, so I don't keep it in, right? Do I have one?
LeBron is an overrated playmaker.
He's an overrated playmaker.
Yeah.
Why? Because he holds the ball so long and then only gives it to him when they're ready to have to shoot it.
Yeah. It's just spamming pick and rolls, driving dish. It's not that impressive.
I think Stockton is an overrated passer. I don't think he's as good as a passer as people make out to be.
Yeah, well, we know that his stats were inflated, and I might agree with you on that one. I don't know. Stockton somehow gets maybe a little bit more shine than he should.
At least Stockton played games, man. 82 games.
It led to losing, though, like you said earlier. So it doesn't matter. It led to losing.
It's hard to win when you play Jordan, bud.
Yeah, that whole has an asterisk, right?
No. Let's wait. No, let's be clear again. They have Stockton and Malone, when they play together, have a losing record in the playoffs. In the playoffs, regardless of who they played. They only played Jordan. Yeah. They only played Jordan twice. They lost to everybody. They lose to everybody.
You're acting like making the finals is easy in the NBA.
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying all the other 2 years, outside those 2 years, all the other years we're still losing. They have more first round exits than conference finals appearances.
Yeah, that's fine. Iverson made one NBA finals, bro. It's tough.
He didn't play with Karl Malone though.
No, that was a really bad team he's on.
Yeah.
That's why I don't have John Stockton in my top 20. Like, that's okay. He's still a great player. You don't have to hate him. Okay?
20. Well, no, no one said hating. The question was, would you voice an opinion? I voiced my opinion. You voiced yours. Now all of a sudden I'm hating because I voiced my opinion. Nobody say you say it, man.
But you're bringing up winning, bro. We're talking about playmaking. You're bringing up winning. It doesn't make any sense.
Does anybody put Iverson in the top 20 of all time?
Some people do, yeah.
I got to see that list, but I'm not sure.
You could.
Some people have.
What makes Iverson special and why I love the guy is because he was 6 foot tall, 165 pounds, bro. That's literally what my height and weight is. Like, the guy dominated in a league full of giants as a regular sized dude. Like, you got to give credit for something like that. Like, I went back and forth with KD, and I said, KD, it's easier for you to dominate as a 7-footer than it was for Iverson to dominate as a 6 foot, 165-pound guy. And you guys got like, we don't talk about that enough, man. These guys hit the gene pool lottery being born to be 7-footer or a 6'9", 260-pound guy that runs like Derrick Rose. Like, it's a lot easier to play basketball.
But isn't that most? Isn't that most players? Isn't that most of the top 10?
Yeah,
most
a lot of them.
10?
A lot of them. Yeah, a lot of them are.
I mean,
yeah, like Jordan, without a doubt, hit the genetic pool, the lottery pool.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan also, he has giant hands. You can jump out of the
Kareem and Wilt didn't have to do much besides run down on the block, have someone else put the ball up, and then throw it to them, right? So that takes so much pressure off of them to finish only near the basket. Yeah. That's a whole other different game, right? I don't even know how we're supposed to compare Wilt to Michael because they, there wasn't any. There's no comparison at all. To the point where I'm like the guard being frustrated that I have to work so hard on my handle just to be able to get it up, and this guy just gets to run on the block and then play half the game. That's almost unfair.
I've played pickup basketball against Samaki Walker. If you guys know Samaki Walker, center for the Lakers back in the 2000s, and he dominated the pickup basketball game because all he did was post us up. And like I was like, bro, this is just unfair. So yeah, height matters in basketball, and like to ignore that is ridiculous.
Well, let's get to another one here. User NQ, thank you so much again. Iverson didn't care about practice. The league created the dress code for Iverson. Let's not forget that, right? That he was wearing, I guess, is it baggy clothes? I'm trying to remember now what it was. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
it was jerseys, stuff like that. Yeah. Stuff. Yeah. When they used to call people thugs back then. Yeah,
and then the pants lower and lower. I remember that in college, that first coming out. Again, that was all the process. Now they've gone away from that as well. The coaches don't need to wear a suit anymore, which I look at it now and I kind of like it. Maybe when they used to wear suits, you know what I mean? There's something different and special about that look that maybe they should go back to. Do you think the coaches should go back to wearing suits?
I don't care.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool seeing Pat Riley wearing those nice suits. It looked cool added to the game. Yeah.
I think we're just getting older. That's it.
Yeah, right. Well, I used to hold. By the way, all the Iverson off court stuff. I used to hold that against him as a player more than I ever do now. I've kind of let go of all that. There's not good stories about Iverson. And I kind of just felt like that was indicative of like the way he played, which is silly and stupid. Yeah. When I was young, I was a lot more black and white about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with Iverson, what there was an interview that he talks about. He says after like a game with Kobe, he was like, "Yo, let's go to the club," and Kobe's like, "No, I'm gonna go to practice," and like that was the difference, man. And I think that's the difference of Kobe and the rest of like Iverson and guys that were party animals. It's like he dedicated his life to his craft, and you saw it on the court. So it's like. Yeah. When you guys keep bringing up Iverson didn't practice enough, I agree. That's what I'm trying to say, guys. Today.
So, do you think Iverson ruined it? Then, would you say that Iverson ruined it?
I mean, look, you know, Iverson is LeBron's guy, right?
It's a simple question. We're talking about Iverson right now. Do you think Iverson ruined it?
I think Iverson opened up the door, and LeBron like brought the floodgate. Yeah.
You think you think LeBron brought the floodgate and not Iverson?
Yeah, in the weak mentality of players, yeah.
No, we're talking about practicing and doing stuff.
Bro, that clip you showed was weak, bro. It was weak.
No.
LeBron's mentality somehow infect everybody else.
Yeah.
How?
But not Iverson's though.
The best player in the league affects how things go. You wouldn't you say Kobe affected the league? Wouldn't you say
Shaq
Jordan affected the league?
So Shaq was the best player in the league, and everyone knew that Shaq wasn't.
Maybe you're talking about 2003, maybe. That was like the window of
99 to 03. Shaq was the best player in the league. You don't think that Shaq's mentality? So do you think Shaq ruined the league?
In regards to what? You're talking about practice?
You're saying he's the best player and his mentality.
What do you ask? In regards to what?
I'm answering the question. Yeah. You're saying he is the best player. He's the best player. His mentality off the floor, practicing, preparation, we all know that it was not up to par, that he's without a doubt benefited off of his physical gifts, especially at that point in time. Do you think that as the best player, his mentality and set the tone for everyone else, do you think he ruined it the same way that you are insinuating about LeBron?
Brother, you're stuck. No, you're stuck on the practice thing. It's not the only issue. I brought up LeBron. I brought up LeBron being buddy with guys. I brought up LeBron making moves, calling his competitors and joining with them in his prime. I brought up he's a flopper. I brought up he's a stat pattern. And all you're doing is focusing on practice. LeBron is a decent practice guy. It seems like he's training. He's played in the league 22 years. He's a decent
practice guy.
Yeah, bro.
Decent is
like
crazy.
I don't know.
Decent is crazy. Someone playing 22 years in the league. Decent. All right, you got it.
What are my other points? You're not countering any of my other points. I brought up 4 things I don't.
The answer what you're saying. A lot of people. The only reason why I'm bringing up these players is because a lot of things you're saying about LeBron was said about them as well. So a lot of things about like Shaq, for example, people didn't like the fact that he didn't practice, that he was not staying in shape, that he would end up missing games.
Kobe said it. Yeah, Kobe.
Yeah, no, okay. But but the point I'm making is that, and also like people got upset at Shaq that he was doing those things while also demanding a large amount of money. Like the reason why he left Orlando is because he specifically wanted more money than Alonzo Mourning. He wanted more money than Alonzo Mourning. Those are all things that people were saying about Shaq at that point in time. I guess the only other correlation that isn't there is that Shaq wasn't calling people up to try to join them, because at that point he was just so obsessed about making as much.
He also wasn't flopping. He also wasn't buddy with his competitors. He also wasn't
on the court fair, and he wasn't flop because he's like 7 foot whatever. But a lot of things you're saying about LeBron also are applicable to Shaq. So again, I'm asking, when Shaq was the best player and was doing the exact same things, some of the same things that LeBron was doing, do you think he was ruining it? That's what I'm asking.
I think it was weak what he was doing. Yeah, I don't know if he had the same influence that LeBron had. I feel like LeBron has a bigger influence.
Well, we have another one. Magic Johnson was Anthony.
But I don't care who it is, man. It's weak. Weak is weak.
Women, again, to talk about what's going on, and I think people just want to shove this in our face that people were back in the day were doing some really crazy stuff off the court. I think we've established that pretty clearly, and certainly Magic Johnson to the detriment of his health as well. Magic Johnson got his coach fired in 1980. That is also true. Playing a little bit of the GM role where he said it's either me or him.
How many times has LeBron got his coach fired and traded his players away?
The question. LeBron and coaching is one of those things that resonates with me because he tends to coach around the coach, and that's an issue from my perspective. And that's and that goes into your GM talk as well, a little bit about him trying to control rosters of the teams he's already on. That could be perceived as a serious issue as well, which we probably will never see again, I don't think. Let's go. User NQ, man, you broke the record here for super chats. I can't even wrap my head around it. So thank you. You know what? If you email me, I'll send you a shirt. So email me coach@breakdown.com and somehow confirm that's who you are, and I'll send you a shirt. Dennis Rodman and Shaquille O'Neal was anything but professional. Okay. I mean, Shaq, I think, was professional. You think
Shaq was professional?
To a certain extent, yeah.
To a certain extent, yes, but I don't know. Shaq, man.
The reason Kobe beefed with Shaq was because he felt like Shaq was not as dedicated to his craft, and he would show up during the offseason out of shape. And I agree, weakness is weakness. It doesn't matter. But my point is, how many guys are like this? The majority today, minority back then is my case.
You don't think there were a lot of players who were coming in after the offseason out of shape?
Bro, they were more dedicated than guys today, in my opinion.
But I'm just asking. You don't think that there were a lot of players back then that were coming out of shape?
Back then,
like 90s? Late 90s, early, like the whole reason why Sean Kemp kind of fell off the. No, I said late 90s, early 2000s. Like the whole reason why Kemp fell off the face of the earth because of that lockout season. He just did not it was just done.
But do you know about Kemp's early days, Lo? You know what he was
No,
doing?
I'm not saying. I'll reiterate what I said again. I said late 90s to early 2000s.
I know, bro. But listen to Kemp's early days, brother. I'm not
saying there was never a point in time in Kemp's career. I'm saying in the late 90s, the early 2000s. That's what I keep saying.
Let me share my story, bro. So
okay. Go ahead.
Early in his career, it's a cool story, man. He wasn't getting enough playing time on the Sonics. He was going after the game to the public courts in Seattle and playing pickup basketball. Will that ever happen again? No. Guys,
Giannis literally did that. Giannis did that.
That modern players do now is.
And remember who I told you the people I like? Giannis and Jokic. Yeah, they remind me of the past. They got that old school mentality.
A trainer, and they're working very meticulously in the off seasons on their games. You can't say that they're not doing that now, more so than they did then individually for sure. I bet you the skill development we have now is it doesn't.
Yeah, There was a trainer I post who trains NBA guys, and he talked about it. He's like, guys today are, I forgot the term he used. I think something about backwards basketball, where he's like, they're really skilled at like the difficult things.
Yeah.
Like step back threes, or like hezzy pull up, like things that are more difficult. They're skilled at that, but they don't know how to set a proper screen. They don't know the fundamentals of the game, like the easy things that you're supposed to learn as a kid. They lack. And that's, I think, a beautiful way of like explaining what's going on today. And that's what bothers me, because yeah, of course guys are skilled, but they have that one-on-one training with their skills trainer. They have all these crazy moves, but they don't know the basics. That's why when we go to FIBA, we're struggling to compete with these guys, because those guys, Germany, they talk about like their practices. When they're early on, they're not playing games. They're just practicing passing for like a year. Like, it's crazy. Their fundamentals are beyond our fundamentals, and that's why they compete with us. Their chemistry is better than us. I don't know, man.
All right. I mean, that's a good point about the training stuff. I mean, the dedication is there. It might be misguided in terms of how they're doing it, and then they don't know the context of how to do these moves. And I agree. There's an issue there that needs to be resolved. So,
one-on-one, yep.
The user wants to also say, Max Johnson, guys, Coach Fire, we mentioned, and LeBron is the definition of professionalism. I mean, he stayed out of the. He hasn't had, scandals, right? I don't think, aside from the decision, but I do want to applaud LeBron for being a very stand-up person in the community without having, gotten into it. As far as that we know, right? I mean, that's all I can go on.
He went to Pat Riley, tried to get Spoelstra fired. Pat Riley said it's not happening. He left. That's very professional.
All right, fair enough. Wilt Chamberlain is anything but professional. All right, I don't even know why. I mean, Wilt was a partier too, but man, he played. Let's see. Bird, Russell, KG, Giannis, and LeBron, Chris Paul are professional. All right, so he's now getting a nice list going. Big Bucket 3, thank you so much. There's a clip of Kobe in like 2018 talking about how he realized that players didn't care all that much once they got to the league. That's interesting.
That is also true. Kobe did say that people back then didn't care as much as he thought when he got to the league, because there weren't as many people.
Well, Kobe's a rare breed. The guy was obsessive.
Which I agree. I think comparing, but I think if you compare everyone to Jordan and Kobe's work ethic, everyone, it doesn't matter which era, will fall short, because Jordan and Kobe. Yeah, that's a point that I really want to drive home today. Is that instead of like us comparing, like that's like me comparing everybody. It's not Curry shooting threes. Like if you compare Curry to shooting threes to everybody else in the league, you're just going to fall short. Kobe and Jordan, Garnett, like there's a lot of players whose mentality that you favor in particular are going to fall short because they are a rare breed. Even in the era in which they played in, everyone did not share that same sentiment that they did. There were several players who were nowhere near as dedicated to their craft as Kobe Bryant in the 2000s and late 90s.
Yeah.
So this idea of thinking that they adopted it is kind of crazy.
Oh, I've tweeted this before. Sorry, Coach. I've tweeted this before, and I've realized this. I've been like, the reason I dislike a lot of guys is because I start comparing them Kobe and Mike, and I've realized that I shouldn't be comparing guys to them. You're right. I agree with that.
But remember who on the team that when Kobe got there as a rookie in LA, Cedric Ceballos and Nick Van Exel, two guys who probably didn't practice very hard and who were probably around, and he's probably really referencing at that time. But Eddie Jones was on that team, and he was a hard worker among others. So, but I could see why Kobe would say that. Like if two or three of his teammates were like that, then that would really have an impact on him when he's reflecting later. More.
Kobe was. Can I add to that? Kobe was talking about guys entering the league. A lot of guys, he's like, we're already happy they made the league. They made millions, and like they lost that motivation. But he's saying like he like tasted blood, and he's like, all right, let's go. Like I'm just beginning,
Yeah.
And that's why it became so great.
So why didn't nobody adopt those? Where do those characteristics come from? Or do you just believe that that's just people, and that always happens? That people.
I think that's a good question, Lo. I think you see it more today because like players like Zion or Simmons, they get handed a boatload of money with potential, and they get fat. They don't work hard. Like if you're gonna make max money coming into the league, or like make crazy amount of money without even like showing that you're that guy, why would they try? They lost motivation. And Jordan talks about this too. He's like, guys are going to get paid too much too early, and they're going to lose their motivation. They're going to lose their drive. And we see that today.
Right. Well, we're going to find out what happens with college now that they're making millions and millions of dollars there first.
Yeah.
But DD,
that's probably going to hurt it.
How can you only mention LeBron playing GM, but when Charles gets brought up, you claim it's a one-off, and then C. Webb also forced decisions Gosh.
So I forgot about C-Web, boy. C-Web really, if we gonna really talk about who really initiated, C-Web was making demands before he got drafted, after his first year, to get out of Washington, to go somewhere else. C-Web was doing that every 2 to 3 years. He was making like very severe demands to the point in which they decided to just move off of him. Part of the reason why also a lot of things that happen now don't happen back then is because just the way that the contracts are structured. Like now we have 4 or 5 year contracts. Back then they had like 8-10 year deals. And the reason why we're no longer having 8 to 10 year deals is because players wanted more control before LeBron entered the NBA. The reason why we have contracts structured the way we are today is because back in the 90s, players would complain about their inability to have control on where their legacy would end up at. And part of the reason why in the mid-90s so many players moved around is because they came in, changed the structure of it, allowed players to kind of move where they wanted to, and people did that. People moved around and search for more money. That's how Shaq left. That's how Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning left. Dikembe left. Went to Atlanta. Like that's how all of them ended up moving around because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the rules of the league matter, of course, but it's gone. The pendulum has gone too far to the other end.
We went way beyond what I thought we were going to go to, but how about a couple more minutes because I want to at least get through the rest of the super chats.
Okay, cool.
I got to go soon, Coach.
Everyone got to go. Magic Johnson was in the 80s, not professional. So was Wilt. Okay, so user is really making that point. We get it. K Mike 81, thank you so much. LBJ can't do any good. Whatever he does will get criticized. Let's appreciate him and others while we can. We consume them through a staged lens. Yeah, I mean, good point. And, when they're gone, we're going to, okay, how about this? When he's gone 10 years from now, is he going to be elevated higher? Like kind of Kobe sort of maybe elevated higher after his death. Do we feel like that's LeBron going to happen that, or is he going to fade?
It's more than likely going to happen like that way. Yeah. Okay. It tends to happen that way.
Persisted, but I don't know if anyone else is going to persist like Michael.
Oh, no. Like Michael, probably not. I think the way we consume media is so drastically different now than back then. But I do think that people will appreciate Bron more once he's retired. Yeah.
Jacob, you agree?
That they'll appreciate him more, you're asking, after he retires? I don't know. I feel like we're prisoners of the moment.
Yeah.
I think if another player comes around that's like dominating, people are going to start saying, oh, yeah, he's better than LeBron, he's better than MJ. We're prisoners of the moment. That's kind of why I dedicate my page to the past, because I see a lot of disrespect to the past. And I'm like, look, here's a guy. And I show clips and videos and I do the X's and O's because I don't like it when they disrespect guys in the past.
After this much time post-Michael, I don't think anyone's going to really be able to leapfrog him that easily. But I do suspect 10, 15 years from now, someone could say, oh, he's better than LeBron. Like, that could definitely happen.
Yeah.
Let's go back. The user again is thank you so much. These NJ cult fan base like Uncut Hoops, Angry Old Hoops, sports fitness rants are nothing but NJ fangirls, and they say LeBron fans are the problem. No, it's MJ and 90s fans are the worst fans in basketball discourse. Well, we're going to find out with NJ on TV coming up this year.
Go watch 1991 Michael Jordan full game and come back and let me know what you think.
Full triangle too. Okay, Godzilla. Thank you so much, Godzilla. LeBron got to the finals with 5 coaches, Jordan and Kobe. Well, Jordan got there with 1 and Kobe with 1. I mean, that's something, I guess, but probably more of the times than
Is he saying that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think it matters one way or another, but
and it's the same coach, by the way, which is really interesting as well for the top fans out there. If you want to go with Phil, that's really interesting. And don't forget, Kobe having gotten Phil fired or whatever happened with Phil. After a year and a half, demanded that he come back. They realized how important the triangle was and what it did, and then they won two more and got to another finals. And then that gets into how they got Pau Gasol, which is the whole other show. The last one. Okay, this is our last thing. We're gonna wrap this up. User NQ, thank you again. You were above and beyond. Again, email me. I'll get you a shirt. I'll get you 2 shirts. Hey guys, I'm 16 years old. My name is Scott Warrior, and I want to be a student of the game and a historian of the games. Lo, I've been watching you for years. Hopefully, I can debate you one day. Wow, you have a lot of money for a 16-year-old to be spreading around.
I'm about to say, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a great to have a conversation. Thanks so much, and Lo, maybe you'll have him on the show one day. What do you say?
Yeah, I'll have him on the show one day.
All right. Well,
especially if you're spending money like that, I'll definitely help them on the show.
Thank you guys for coming on. This is great. I mean, this is we had a bigger audience than normal on a Friday afternoon, so I credit you guys for that. And I think we got somewhere. I think we solved some issues and talked about some stuff. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Had a good time. And Lo, have you seen any 91 full games of Michael?
I've seen every game that's available with Jordan.
Is he your GOAT?
Yeah. I said that earlier. I said Jordan is 1 and LeBron's 2. Yeah.
I don't know much about your content, bro. I literally discovered it yesterday. So thanks, man. I'm glad you think that way. You're a smart man.
I guess.
I mean, for what it's worth, I was at those games in '91. So
no way. You saw him live?
We had season tickets to the Bulls from '85 on, so I got to see all of them.
You were in Chicago?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Wow.
So it's lucky,
That's
very fortunate. So at any rate, all right. Well, thank you guys. Well, let's do it again. We'll figure this out, and maybe we'll come on again during the season, and we'll see how that goes. But thank you so much, and don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, guys?
We're in.
We're in.